Today, we will begin with the students from the Rehabilitation Department. This is the first official lesson. Today's topic is a brief introduction to Zhineng Qigong. We will introduce Zhineng Qigong at the Rehabilitation Center. This needs to be combined with the specific circumstances of the students in the Rehabilitation Department as we discuss it. As for the previous lesson, we didn't really distinguish between our Rehabilitation Center and the Training Center because the primary goals that students pursue in their practice are different. We didn't pay attention to this issue. So, the introduction to Zhineng Qigong was always the same. In order to better support our teaching, so that we can help students from each department to more effectively integrate the lesson content into their practice and to better and more successfully achieve our learning objectives, we need to teach them separately. Some experienced students have heard the previous introduction to Zhineng Qigong. What we're talking about today compared to before is not exactly the same in terms of approach. We hope our returning students can have a proper understanding of the inconsistencies between our previous and current lectures and view them correctly. Now we will introduce the characteristics of Zhineng Qigong. We are not going to explain the 9 major features of Zhineng Qigong as the training department did before. Instead, we will mainly tailor it to the students in our rehabilitation department. How can we practice better and cure illnesses more effectively? We will discuss the features of Zhineng Qigong from this perspective. So, what are the features we are going to talk about today? We will mainly focus on 4 aspects. These 4 aspects are related to what we mentioned at the opening ceremony. Zhineng Qigong is a high-level, sophisticated, and complex science. It is a brand new science. We will discuss these together as a whole. Because at the opening ceremony, we briefly mentioned that Zhineng Qigong is an advanced, sophisticated, complex, and even brand new science. With such a science at our disposal, even though our students in the rehabilitation department suffer from different illnesses, and even though these illnesses are said by doctors to be incurable, our Zhineng Qigong practitioners are still able to create miracles. We are able to cure these illnesses. We also briefly discussed some related issues. But during the opening ceremony, time was very limited, so it was impossible to clarify all these issues. We couldn't explain everything clearly. So what we gave was just a summary. Through a very brief introduction, we wanted to help students establish a true understanding of Zhineng Qigong and to build confidence that it can help you overcome your illnesses. Some students, after listening, may have already, in their minds, established the belief that Zhineng Qigong is something new. It possesses tremendous power. It can overcome illnesses. Perhaps some people, just by listening to the opening ceremony lecture, are able to achieve this understanding. But for many more students, there may still be quite a few questions. Why is this the case? Why is it that Zhineng Qigong can treat so many illnesses? This is still unclear. So today, as we introduce Zhineng Qigong, we will clarify these questions for everyone by explaining its various characteristics. Today, by Zhineng Qigong, we are able to do this, to treat all kinds of diseases. And after we all come together, the practice is basically the same for everyone. At the beginning, we practice methods like pouring qi to the crown and zhanzhuang, pulling qi. It's all like this. Why is it that all our different illnesses can be cured by this? This is the most fundamental characteristic of Zhineng Qigong. What is it? It truly provides. It has a unique theoretical system, which is the Hunyuan Qi theoretical system. Zhineng Qigong. This theory is a holistic view. It sees everything as a whole. How is this whole formed? It is through a special substance called Hunyuan Qi that this is made possible. Everything is formed into a whole by this. So here I need to explain to everyone the principle of Hunyuan Qi. Right. In the past, when we gave lectures, the theory of Hunyuan Qi was taught as one lesson. But now, when we teach the students in the rehabilitation class, the theory of Hunyuan Qi is explained in a much simpler and clearer way. So that after listening, everyone can understand. It's explained in a more straightforward manner. Within the theory of Hunyuan Qi, in the human body, in the natural world, and throughout the entire universe, there exists a special kind of substance. This substance, as explained in the Hunyuan Qi theory, is formless and shapeless. It cannot be seen or touched. Modern science has proven that it objectively exists. But its exact nature is still unclear. This Hunyuan Qi is such a thing. This Hunyuan Qi exists within the human body, and it also exists in nature. Moreover, this Hunyuan Qi exists in different levels or layers. There is a most fundamental type of Hunyuan Qi in the universe. This Hunyuan Qi is the most basic element that gives rise to all things in our universe. It is the most fundamental, the most basic material condition. Although the universe now contains extremely complex and various substances at different levels, all of these substances have evolved from the original Hunyuan Qi. This is a viewpoint within the theory of Hunyuan Qi. Everyone should understand that this Hunyuan Qi exists everywhere in the universe. It is everywhere. Moreover, it can evolve into different levels of matter. Because modern science says that our universe evolved gradually from the simplest form of matter. There are many similarities with our Hunyuan Qi theory. Of course, the current scientific explanation of cosmic evolution and cosmic combustion, it's not exactly the same as what our Zhineng Qigong theory describes. The Hunyuan Qi theory also believes that all things in the universe evolved from the original Hunyuan Qi in this way. Up to now, although the world is very complex, in the universe there is still a vast amount of the original infinite Hunyuan Qi around. These original building blocks likewise are still the material basis for all things in our universe. They are the material conditions for deepening or changing things, so to speak. For example, let's talk about plants now. Plants can grow. Animals experience growth and death. This law of change is also influenced by the original Hunyuan Qi in the universe. This is because the Hunyuan Qi in our universe is everywhere, and its effects are everywhere. The evolution of this universal Hunyuan Qi from its original form up to now has already reached a very advanced stage. It has evolved to the point of becoming human. It has evolved into humans. Humans also have Hunyuan Qi. It is what sustains human life activities. The basic element, the fundamental factor. For us humans, birth, aging, illness, and death, or in other words, growth and decline, this cycle is all influenced by the original Hunyuan Qi. So within the human body, we are not only influenced by the original Hunyuan Qi, but also by the body's own mechanisms of Hunyuan Qi. Within the human Hunyuan Qi, there are two parts. One part is our physical body, the physical body of humans, Hunyuan Qi. This human body, Hunyuan Qi, shares many notable similarities with that found in animals. Because humans evolved from higher animals, the Hunyuan Qi in the human body, or in higher animals such as monkeys and apes, has many things in common. At the same time, humans not only possess the life activities of the physical body, but also have mental activities. In humans are, in essence, activities of consciousness. And consciousness, from the perspective of the Hunyuan Qi theory, is also a manifestation of the Hunyuan Qi. It is the most advanced Hunyuan Qi within the human body. However, the Hunyuan Qi in brain cells, after forming the elementary body, when the Hunyuan Qi in the brain gives rise to conscious activity in humans, it is no longer called a Hunyuan Qi, but rather an Yi-Yuan Ti. This Yi-Yuan Ti of Hunyuan Qi is a form of movement. There are two components within the Yi-Yuan Ti. One is consciousness. This Hunyuan Qi, the physical body of the restorative agent, when these two combine, they form the true Hunyuan Qi for the overall life activities of a human being as we know it. So, students, you need to understand, what is the Hunyuan Qi in the human body? It is human mental activity. This living spirit and the Hunyuan Qi for the physical life activities of a person are combined together. This is the human Hunyuan Qi. So the most fundamental difference between human Hunyuan Qi and the Hunyuan Qi of other natural beings, where does it lie? It lies in the fact that the Hunyuan Qi within the human body contains conscious activity. Moreover, conscious activity plays a dominant role over the body's Hunyuan Qi. It plays a dominant role. When the mind moves, the Qi moves as well. In the study of Qigong, this is how it is explained. Why is intention considered the commander of Qi? Because it is the leader of Qi. When intention moves, Qi moves. With every thought or movement, Qi moves as well. When the body moves, wherever your intention goes, Qi follows. Wherever your intention goes, that is where the Qi will go. This is the principle. Where intention leads, Qi follows. When intention moves, Qi moves. The reasoning behind this concept in Qigong practice and in the martial arts community is already quite well known. Everyone understands this. In the past, those who practiced Tai Chi, those who practiced internal martial arts, and those who trained in internal energy all understood the relationship between intention and Qi. Therefore, intention is the commander of Qi. At this point, I need to clarify something for everyone. Our theory of Hunyuan Qi and Qi in Zhineng Qigong, and the traditional theory of Qi in Qigong, are there any differences between them? Are there any differences at all? Traditional Qigong also teaches that all things in the universe are transformed from Qi. It also talks about intention. When the intention moves, Qi moves. Intention leads Qi. These are things that have long been affirmed in traditional Qigong and Chinese medicine theory. But we say that Zhineng Qigong is a brand new science. The theory we talk about, the new Hunyuan Qi theory, how is it different from traditional Qigong? Let me tell everyone, in traditional Qigong, when they talk about Qi, all things in the universe are said to have evolved from Qi. This point is the same as our theory. Moreover, the process of change for a thing follows the natural cycle of that thing. For example, a plant, from sowing the seed, sprouting and rooting, to growing, flowering, and bearing fruit. This is the natural cycle of a plant. In the external environment, the Hunyuan Qi also brings about changes according to the natural cycles of that thing. In other words, the Hunyuan Qi in nature must follow the natural laws of things in its changes. For example, when it comes to people also go through a process of birth, growth, decline, and death. This follows a person's heredity, what modern science calls genetic engineering. Within that, its characteristics change naturally. So what about us? We have inherited, or you could say carried on, the traditional Qigong theory, and at the same time, we also need to develop it further. We need to keep developing it. Because the Hunyuan Qi of the universe not only changes according to the natural laws of things, but also it accepts the direction of consciousness. This consciousness can direct it. This Hunyuan Qi's quality can change within the human body, inside the human body. This Qi undergoes a natural process of change. In the past, when people practiced Qigong with practice, they would cultivate enough Qi. Once the Qi was sufficient, illnesses would be cured. If there was no illness, the body would become healthy. By absorbing enough Qi through practice, natural changes would occur. Therefore, traditional Qigong was used to treat illnesses through practice. It did have some effect, but the process was long and the results were slow to appear. I remember back in the 1940s and 1950s, in the middle of this century, there were quite a few Qigong practitioners. Qigong masters, in relation to traditional Chinese medicine, also advocated using Qigong exercises to treat illnesses. But the process of healing was generally quite slow. Take, for example, the well-known Qigong master named Yin Shizi. His real name was Zhang Weiqiao. He wrote a book called Yin Shizi. It was about the practice of sitting meditation. He wrote 3 books in total, one after another. When he was young and ill, he practiced Qigong. He practiced for 2 or 3, even 3 or 4 years before he recovered. But his illness was just a simple case of pulmonary tuberculosis. By the 1950s and 1960s, traditional Qigong practice could only treat some chronic diseases like hypertension and neurasthenia. Then there's peptic ulcer disease, arthritis. These are among the 4 major chronic diseases. These 4 major chronic diseases. Does practicing Qigong have any effect on them? Yes, it does. But it takes at least half a year of practice. To see results from Qigong, it usually takes 3 to 6 months before you notice any real improvement. For chronic diseases to get better, it generally takes at least half a year. Some people even need to practice for 2 or 3, or even 3 or 4 years. Why does it take this long to see results? It's because you have to guide the Qi into your body and let it naturally bring about changes within. Our Zhineng Qigong is not like that. Zhineng Qigong, it is about Hunyuan Qi. Hunyuan Qi emphasizes the role of consciousness. This Hunyuan Qi has a natural process of change, and at the same time, it also has a rapid process of transformation. Because the natural process of change is relatively slow, it follows the natural cycle of life. However, the theory of Hunyuan Qi emphasizes the role of consciousness, and this consciousness can control Hunyuan Qi. Therefore, when you strengthen the role of consciousness, use consciousness to guide the qi, directing it to heal the illness, to target and heal the illness. How does consciousness work? We will discuss the role of consciousness in more detail later. We will continue to talk about the power of consciousness. With just one focused intention, this qi can be activated. In this way, the effect of qi is no longer just a natural transformation, but is also guided by intention. Yes, it is directed by intention. The power of intention can take effect rapidly. For some people, it works instantly. At the opening ceremony, I mentioned this about bone fractures. A bone fracture is a very obvious pathological condition, but in addition, by emitting qi, drawing it in, gathering and focusing it, the effect becomes even greater. The bone heals, it grows back, it recovers, and after a while the bone returns to normal. This is how focused intention can thoughtfully guide and transform qi, allowing it to take effect more quickly and efficiently. You may wonder, what is so special about this qi? How does it work? Let me share with you the nature of qi. Its unique property is this. When gathered, it takes form. At first we say that qi is formless and invisible. It is a special kind of substance. It exists everywhere in space and also within the human body. This formless qi, through the natural process of transformation, has evolved over history into the tangible substances we see today. Over billions of years, now we say more than 10 billion years, these countless natural materials have formed. Through the power of nature, the formless can become a tangible form. Now, when we use our consciousness to gather this qi, it instantly takes on a tangible form. A bone is broken. When the bone is fractured, if you focus your intention on the break, connecting it with your palm, and then guide the formless qi like a flame toward this spot, it gathers at the surface of the bone and transforms into tangible matter, allowing the bone to heal and fuse together. For ulcers, if you gather and focus the qi, healing will occur as well. Some people are missing something. For example, when there is a deficiency, if you gather the energy, just focus and gather it, healing can take place. When we had the opening ceremony, didn't we have a young student whose brain was congenitally underdeveloped? That's a kind of deficiency. The results weren't as effective as we'd hoped, and that's because when he gathered his qi and focused it there, so the energy was directed to the brain cells, activating them. These particular brain cells were very small, but as they were energized, they grew larger, and that's the transformation. When energy gathers, it takes form. Remember, renewal is a natural process, and there's also a shift in consciousness. That consciousness keeps gathering, focusing, and accumulating, and then it is released. We've also had cases like this before, where a bone was removed because of a tumor, surgically taken out. It was gone. But after a year, with each season, we gathered energy in a group field, focusing and nurturing, and the bone grew back. This is the unique property of when energy gathers, form emerges. And what is another property? It is that tangible matter, when dispersed, becomes formless. When tangible things disperse, they transform into the intangible. And what does the intangible become? It transforms into qi, or vital energy. Yes, it becomes qi. So in the past few years, we often conducted experiments, weight loss experiments. Some people were quite overweight, even group leaders. Their weight would decrease right there on the spot. Their weight would drop instantly, right then and there. Some people at most even lost as much as 10 kilograms on the spot. 10 kilograms, that's like a huge chunk of meat you'd see at the market. Their weight dropped by 10 kilograms instantly, right there. Where did all that flesh go? It transformed into qi, it turned into energy. When we went out to give talks and hold group sessions, we often did these weight loss demonstrations. For those who lost weight at about the same time, They would lose 1 or 2 pounds, sometimes 2 or 3 pounds, right on the spot, 3 or 4 pounds. Some people, like group leaders, would keep the weight off, and it would dissipate, disappearing without a trace, just fading away. His tumor just dissolved. How did it disappear? It turned into qi, it transformed into energy. That's what happened. Heat disperses and transforms. Tumors and cancers can be turned into qi. Bone spurs can also be transformed, and all kinds of growths can be turned into qi. Some people have warts, and even those can be transformed. Others have calluses on their feet, and those too can dissolve and disappear as energy. It softens depending on the unique nature of the source of vitality. But if there's inflammation and swelling, once it disperses and becomes unblocked, it also transforms into qi, and the energy flows freely. Let's talk about this together. Let's discuss among ourselves. The key is in how we use it. This is the special quality of Zhineng Qigong, its ability to form, disperse, and transform energy. And even more importantly, we emphasize guiding its effects through the power of intention. When you set your intention, when you wish for this energy to rise and to bring about goodness, it will naturally disperse for you. It will open up for you. This is a very unique and special quality. Furthermore, this Hunyuan Qi is able to permeate and connect mutually. The original Hunyuan Qi possesses the most refined and subtle energy. Because it is so fine, it can penetrate all things in existence. It can penetrate everything. Human consciousness, human spirit. This Hunyuan Qi is also extremely subtle. Within the human body, the integration of body and qi is actually the most complex, yet consciousness is even more refined. That is why the energy of consciousness can also penetrate through. For the Hunyuan Qi of all things, it too can be penetrated by consciousness. But what about the original Hunyuan Qi? It is not simply about penetration, rather it is about using consciousness to integrate and harmonize with this original qi. With the original active qi, it is about intention. This is why when we practice Zhineng Qigong, we are cultivating human consciousness. We are harnessing the power of human consciousness. And we often contemplate, where is the original Hunyuan Qi? It exists within the vastness of nature. It has the ability to flow through you completely. Isn't that what the song in our practice field says? People are within qi, and qi is within my body. These lyrics were not written casually. They are based on our Hunyuan Qi theory. They are composed according to the principles of Hunyuan Qi. We say that when people study, they are deeply engaged, and this quality is present everywhere. There is also a sense of transparency and penetrability. And what about the original Hunyuan Qi? It also exists within your body. It can enter and exit freely, which is why we say, people are within qi, and qi is within my body. Yet, people are also within qi together. This means that the qi surrounding you is like an ocean. Qi is everywhere. When we practice in the future, especially for those who are more sensitive, we will have this experience. When you are standing still, and you stand quietly, and then you gently sway like this, you will feel as if you are in water. All around you is qi. When you relax and your mind becomes sensitive, you can sense that you are within qi. And as your sensitivity increases, you feel that this qi can also enter you. So qi is within my body. At this point, some students might ask, teacher, since qi can flow in and out, why hasn't my illness healed? Why is it that practicing Qigong and cultivating qi can bring about healing? As mentioned earlier, every time you practice Qigong, especially before you started practicing Zhineng Qigong, if you didn't understand the effects of qi, if your mind didn't have this concept, and you simply let qi flow in and out, its effect on the human body follows the cycles of nature. If you don't have this illness, the genetic information within your body, and its own patterns of change, then qi will follow those patterns to bring about changes. When you become ill, there are changes within your body. For example, if there is inflammation or a tumor, even these have their own patterns. And this pattern, for the tumor itself, growing is not considered an illness from the tumor's perspective. From the tumor's perspective, it is not considered a disease, but for humans it is. That tumor is a natural substance, and tumor cells, even cancer cells, are still just cells. They themselves are also a manifestation of life. So if we look from the standpoint of the cancer, the faster it grows, the more robust it becomes. But from a human perspective, the growth of that cancer is an abnormality for the person. Human life, it ends up being damaged. And this cycle, this wholeness, when everyone reflects on it, it is truly fair. Whether it's 10,000 or 100,000, it treats all the same. It can outlive humans. For that cancer, it can also grow cancer. It can grow on snakes, it can grow on flies, it can even grow bed bugs. It treats everyone the same. This cycle, this mechanism of nature is the most just. No matter who you are, it is fair to all. But we humans, we stand from the human perspective. We stand from the perspective of human health. So what should we do in this situation? This is where we need to harness the power of human consciousness. Humans have the ability to act with intention. So in this way, we need to use our consciousness to resolve it, to make a difference. The laws of humanity come into play, acting in accordance with the requirements of health. This is how our Zhineng Qigong has taken the traditional theories of Qigong a step further. Its essence lies right here. We have discovered this. Hunyuan Qi not only changes naturally, but it can also transform according to human consciousness. It can undergo transformation guided by our intention. This brings us to a new realm. It cannot only govern the Qi within the human body. When intention moves, the Qi moves within. It is not limited to just this function. Moreover, it can also direct the external Qi, drawing upon the Qi of nature itself, to serve me, to be used for my purpose. Furthermore, it can direct the external Qi just like in our experiments with crops. With a single intention, we can help these plants grow faster. You can also make it grow more slowly. Yes, you can harness it and let it work for you. So we say that human consciousness can not only govern the vital energy within ourselves, but can also direct the Hunyuan Qi of nature. This is a step forward in the evolution of traditional Qigong theory, brought about by our Zhineng Qigong, and it has contributed to the history of agricultural yield increases. For thousands of years, no one had ever explored this, but through our Zhineng Qigong, we have discovered these principles and begun to apply them. So, I think that's all I need to share with our rehab class students about the principle of Hunyuan Qi. This is enough. Once you grasp this principle, this Hunyuan Qi can be controlled by your intention. However you think, that's how it will function. There can be tremendous changes. The Qi within the body can transform, and the Qi outside the body can also change. When formless energy gathers, it can become tangible. When new things arise, if you intend for them to disperse, they will naturally dissolve and spread out. If there is a blockage and energy cannot flow, just keep focusing on opening it, and eventually it will become unblocked. There is a kind of cohesive energy outside our bodies. Today, if I want it to circulate, I can draw it in and use it for my well-being, for my benefit. I want to be healthy. If you find you cannot move, keep thinking. Move, move, move. With intention, the Qi will flow through. In the future, when we discuss the power of consciousness, we will explore these topics further. For today, we focus on the role of consciousness. We won't go into detail now. When we talk about the power of consciousness later, I will dedicate 2 full lessons to it. So, for today, this is all I will share with you about the Hunyuan Qi theory. Now, regarding Teacher Wang's method, this Hunyuan Qi therapy is said to be able to treat stomach issues. Well, can we really control it now? Are we able to master it? Can we really manage it? Let me guide you through an experiment. Place your hands on your legs. Keep your palms facing upward. Now, in this moment, Just focus your mind on one of your hands, whichever you prefer. If you want to focus on your left hand, do so. If you prefer your right hand, that's fine too. Choose one hand to concentrate on and decide for yourself which hand it will be. Now, what should you think about with this hand? Imagine drawing energy into your chosen hand, as if energy is flowing here, and this hand is growing longer. As more energy arrives, your hand becomes longer and longer. Keep visualizing your hand lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. All right, now compare your hands by aligning them side by side. When you do, you'll notice that the hand you focused on has actually become longer. Hold this intention in your mind. As you breathe and focus, more energy gathers here, and your hand feels more vibrant, more alive. The more you focus, the more energy accumulates, and your hand grows longer and longer. Your hand truly becomes longer. This demonstrates the power of our intention. Our intention can guide Hunyuan Qi. Wherever we direct our thoughts, energy flows there, and abundance follows. If you want more, there will be more. If you want fullness, there will be fullness. Even after the exercise, your hand can become longer, thicker, and larger. If we have underdeveloped muscles or muscle atrophy, just focus your intention on that area. Imagine the energy there becoming abundant like a flame, and the muscle will grow stronger and more powerful. Visualize it, rub it gently. Won't it start to heal? Isn't this a simple and natural process? Now let's place our hands back on our legs and continue practicing together. Here, we are creating a healing space, guiding everyone to practice, to use our consciousness to direct our Qi. Now, imagine your hand becoming shorter and your arm returning to its original length. As the Qi moves elsewhere, as it flows back into the body, the Qi in your hand decreases and your hand becomes shorter again. It becomes shorter, then longer, then shorter again. And you can recall how your hand was before. Shorter, then longer, then shorter again, just as you imagine. All right, now compare and see. It's no longer long, it's become shorter again. By doing this experiment, everyone can gain a deeper understanding of our theory of Hunyuan Qi theory. You will develop a more profound awareness. With intention, we can direct the flow of Hunyuan Qi theory. If you want more, there will be more. If you want less, there will be less. If you have a tumor, just focus your intention on that area and imagine the tumor dissolving, dispersing, shrinking, and disappearing. Gone, just like that. Isn't it gone then? It's really that simple, and that's what we offer here. The theory of the Hunyuan Qi is the fundamental guiding principle and essential knowledge for our practice. This Hunyuan Qi is everywhere. Wherever you apply it, it brings things back to zero. No matter what illness you have, it doesn't matter. If you focus your intention on the area of illness for a year and let the energy there become abundant and flow freely, any tangible matter that needs to dissolve will dissolve, disperse, and return to normal. Normal, normal, normal. If there is a deficiency, once the energy is sufficient, it will take form and everything will return to normal. Normal, normal, normal. No matter what illness you have, as long as it is an illness, it simply means something is not in balance. You need to restore it to a state of balance. If your blood pressure is high, it will come down. If your blood pressure is low, it will rise, reaching a healthy, balanced level. This Hunyuan Qi responds completely to the guidance of our conscious intention. So after a year of practice, wherever you direct your thoughts, the energy will go there and take effect. This is a truly unique invention of the Zhineng Qigong theory, a discovery that is especially significant and special, and also a remarkable contribution to the field of Zhineng Qigong. It has enabled us to successfully treat many illnesses. A wide variety of diseases have been addressed. There is a Hunyuan Qi. It works for everyone. Not only does it benefit the human body, but it also has an effect on all things in the world. It can influence living animals and plants, as well as inanimate, inorganic matter. It can even influence steel and iron. Didn't I mention during the opening ceremony, 2 of our students had steel fragments and shrapnel lodged in their heads? They were expelled. Some of the shrapnel dissolved and disappeared from inside the brain. When we looked at the X-ray images, you could see the fragments. The shadow of the shrapnel became very dense, then gradually faded until it completely disappeared. Even the steel dissolved away. The steel and iron were simply gone. In our scientific experiments, whether it's steel, organic compounds, molecules, or atoms, all of them can be affected. Substances of different levels can all play a role. They can all have an effect. That's why when we have illnesses, any kind of illness, in reality, they all exist within the human body. They are all part of life's activities, so there's no real distinction between different diseases. All can be treated. All can be restored to normal. This is what Hunyuan Qi therapy prescribes. So I hope that after this brief talk, all of you will have confidence. My illness, with Hunyuan Qi therapy, it can be healed. It can return to normal. This is the first true characteristic of our practice, the Hunyuan Qi therapy. Some of you might say, Dr. Pang, the Hunyuan Qi therapy is excellent, it really is. But how do I truly grasp it? How do I master it? I continue to study and practice our training method. Can I truly master it? Let me tell everyone you absolutely can, because we practice together as a community. We practice together to heal illnesses. Part of this relies on our teachers and group leaders. I'll talk more about this later. And another part depends on our unique method. Our methods are truly special. At first glance, the methods of Zhineng Qigong seem very simple. But they are actually quite unique. So what makes them special? It is because they incorporate many of the ancient secrets of practice passed down by our ancestors. These have been tested and validated through our own practical experience. In China, we have refined and improved them. By inheriting the essential wisdom of traditional Qigong and further developing it, when we practice, the Qi within our bodies can truly become active. Moreover, it can also help the Qi better respond to the guidance of our consciousness and our movements. The pelvic floor muscle exercise may look very simple, but once you practice it, the Qi will naturally arise. Some students, however, may at first not feel anything. In order to make the sensation more noticeable, since everyone is following along, but some people are sitting quite close together, you can try to adjust and interlace your hands a bit, just like this. Even the action of pushing out like a jet at this moment is helping you expand your Qi. Imagine 2 pillows stretching open. Let your arms relax a bit, angle them slightly, because if you keep them too straight, the movement is limited. For those of us who are good at expanding Qi, you'll notice that when you stretch and move, as you expand the Qi, your shoulders naturally draw in. No matter how long your arms are, try to draw them inward. And as you do, your shoulders will contract a bit. Your hands should stretch out horizontally and then pull back, stretching out and pulling back in this way. On both sides, you stretch, then contract, stretch and contract, stretch and contract, stretch and contract, stretch and contract, expand and contract, expand and contract, expand and contract. When you stretch out, your fingers will feel a tingling sensation, so in the process, you need to keep your arms straight. As you expand, your hands will naturally move. Inside, you can feel the sensation of Qi moving. Do you all feel it, classmates? Everyone is practicing this energy exercise now. These are our movements. These are the movements of our Zhineng Qigong practice. With a bit of practice, you can activate the Qi within your body. It will help you mobilize your internal energy. Let me tell you, our practice is quite unique. Our method is truly special. So everyone is asking, why is our practice so unique? Why aren't other methods considered special? What makes this practice different? Let me share this with you all. In traditional Qigong methods, there are many different practices. There are many different practices. Within a complete set of those practices, Perhaps only a few points are truly valuable. In an entire set, the real treasures are just a few key elements. But in the past, teachers were not willing to tell you those few precious points. These unique advantages are woven into the entire set of practices. If you want to truly cultivate your skills, you have to practice the whole set, one set after another, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 8 or 10 sets, sometimes for 10 or 20 years. And even after practicing for 10 or 20 years, those truly valuable teachings, the teacher might still not say anything. If nothing is said, sometimes you yourself remain unclear. So, Dr. Peng Ming, why are we doing things this way? Because in our practice last year, we selected many of the very best elements from traditional techniques. How did you make those selections? It was through the teachings of many of my past teachers who passed these things on to us. Then, as we put them into practice, people would ask, Dr. Peng Ming, where did you learn so much? I also want to share with everyone that in the past, when teachers taught their students, first, they wanted to nurture excellent students, because teaching good students meant that in the future, their lineage or school would be carried on and established. This way, the tradition could be inherited. However, at the same time, they couldn't teach too much. There was an old saying, when the apprentice masters the craft, the master starves. This was true for all kinds of skills and arts. Within these traditions, there were precious teachings, but it was impossible to pass them on to too many people. At the same time, they also had to consider whether this promising disciple would remain loyal to the teacher in the future. There were many other factors to consider as well. So, how did teachers choose to teach you? On one hand, it depended on how well the teacher managed relationships. On the other hand, the teacher would take a closer look at me and say, this kid learns quickly, especially when it came to practicing Qigong or martial arts. All of this needed to be integrated. Things like the meridians, the flow of qi and blood, and especially the conditions of the bones, muscles, and tendons. These aspects had to be explained in detail. For most people, learning these things was much more challenging. For example, when talking about the wrist, how many bones are there in that area? In practice, you had to separate the tendons and test the bones. When the teacher worked on the bones, most people wouldn't even be able to feel them by touch. But I studied medicine. When studying Western medicine, the very first thing you learn is anatomy. I became very clear about what each person's bones look like, how many bones there are in each area, the shape of each bone, and their specific characteristics. What do blood vessels look like? What do nerves look like? What do muscles look like? I was very clear about all of this. Whenever the teacher talked about the bones here or the muscles there, as soon as he explained it, I immediately understood. I gave Teacher B this impression many times. Teacher Guo would say, this child is really smart. He understands as soon as you say it. But it wasn't that I just understood right away. I had already studied these things before. My major was exactly this. So of course I understood, unlike the other students who didn't have this background. So this teacher was quite fond of me. Whenever the topics of yin-yang, the 5 elements, the 8 trigrams, heavenly stems and earthly branches, or the meridians and qi and blood came up, I understood them even more deeply. But I never acted like I knew more than the teacher. I always showed respect. Ah, yes, the old master. He would remind me to remember, and I truly did remember. He would say, see, is the teacher right? But I had learned it long ago. If I didn't show humility or listen to the teacher, that wouldn't be good. Every day the teacher, if the teacher mentions one thing, you just respond with one, maybe a little more, but not too much. Don't list 8 things. If you mention 8, where did you get so many from? But if the teacher asks you to elaborate, then say a bit more. But if the teacher doesn't want you to say more, then don't. Don't try to show off in these matters. So as a result, you see, this kid, when it comes to meridians and acupoints, he truly understands as soon as you mention them. But how could you practice acupuncture if you don't understand meridians and acupoints? This is actually my area of expertise. It's what I'm meant to do. So in this way, I ended up knowing even more about meridians and acupoints than the teacher did. Of course, there are many things the teacher knows that I don't, because practicing Qigong and martial arts involves many special acupoints. There are special methods for guiding and moving Qi, for raising and lowering Qi. In the past, there were certain techniques and approaches, each involving different acupoints and areas of effect. Questions like these in traditional Chinese medicine are not addressed. So you should take what the teacher says about those special points, imprint it in your mind, engrave it deeply, and let that impression sink in. When you discuss it with the teacher, let that impression be deeply etched. Repeat it once and you'll remember it. Keep listening. People will say, wow, this child is truly smart, able to remember everything at a glance, never forgetting what they hear. You see, even if you share a lot, I might only remember 5 out of 100 things you say. But if I truly remember those 5, isn't that enough? That's why the teachers here really enjoy practicing and are quite dedicated. So when a teacher sees a kid who learns quickly, they hold that kid in high regard. They are very humble, and teachers love to teach such students. Because of this, the teachers are willing to share their secrets and insights with you. Even though I hadn't practiced for very long, the teachers wanted to pass on their experience to us. Altogether, there were more than 10 teachers over time. This teacher gives you 1 tip, that teacher gives you 2, and another teacher gives you 8. When you put them all together, you end up with so much more. So, many of the methods we practice in these 2 schools are actually the accumulated wisdom and insights of teachers, sometimes passed down through several generations. We practice, add our own experiences, and then adapt them further. This way, it becomes something that everyone can accept, something accessible to the wider community. These new methods and techniques have already been integrated with the original secrets my teachers once shared with me. They are no longer exactly the same. In fact, we've made significant changes. Some of these adjustments came from our own practice and experience. Building on that foundation, we further developed and refined the methods through our own insights and journey. So, as a result, when we practice Zhineng Qigong, you'll find that you can quickly grasp it after just a little practice. Moreover, you'll soon be able to mobilize your Qi with ease. It's about activating the body's internal Qi and also drawing upon the Qi from outside the body. Sometimes when we have nothing to do, we might casually pull and push, like I am doing here. Open the flow, everyone. Let's come together and do La Qi as one. All of you are now able to do La Qi. During the first few days of the rehab center opening, our team has been guiding everyone in doing La Qi. Today, I want to talk again about what our team has shared regarding doing La Qi. When I explain this to everyone, I approach it from a theoretical perspective, sharing the essential techniques of our practice. As soon as you start practicing, it works. Just practice doing La Qi by placing your hands in front of your chest. All right, teachers and students in the back, please take a look at them. Now, place your hands in front of your chest for La Qi. Relax and find your calm. Let go and relax. In stillness, very slowly and with care, begin to move both hands outward to the sides, gently pulling as you go. Take your time, making sure each movement is smooth and controlled. Now, draw inward. And outward again. And slowly, inward. Repeat. Slowly. Continue the movement for a while. When everyone practices La Qi, remember to move slowly, gently drawing the Qi. Some students may notice that as soon as they start pulling, their hands feel a tingling sensation and it becomes difficult to separate them. This is a natural response. Those who are more sensitive may experience this sensation. The smaller and slower your movements, the easier it is to notice these subtle feelings. Some of you may not feel much at first. Keep practicing and then let's tune in to a different sensation together. Now everyone gently relax and slowly extend your left hand. With the index and middle fingers of your right hand, hold them about an inch above the palm of your left hand without touching it. Then using your right hand's index and middle fingers, slowly and gently make circular motions above the palm of your left hand. Continue as you were doing before. Move slowly and gently. Keep making slow, gentle circles. Even though your fingers aren't touching the center of your left palm, you can still feel something in your left palm. What is this? This is the sensation of qi acting on your left palm. Where does this qi come from? It comes from the way I draw and guide the energy. By doing this, we increase the flow of qi, the energy that moves with your hand. You need to be aware that the energy is acting on your palm. Qigong is about releasing and harnessing this energy. In Zhineng Qigong, this is the powerful tool we use. It's that simple. With just a single movement, you can feel the flow of qi. Continue to move in slow, gentle circles like this. So, do you feel anything, my friend? It's simple. There are many methods within Zhineng Qigong. These are the distilled essences from the wisdom of ancient teachers. Their wisdom. We are now sharing this openly with everyone. When you want to activate it, everyone can try, just as you did before. Simply lift and lower your hands and the energy mechanism will become more active. The more you practice, the more responsive it becomes. With each movement and rotation, the qi flow. As soon as you hear and understand and start to move, it begins to take effect. When I practice the method of lifting and pushing with the Peng Jie Guanding Fa, it's all about gently pushing and pulling, opening and balancing the mechanism in a harmonious way. It's simply about rising and falling, pushing and pulling. Isn't all this pushing and pulling just about moving qi? You see, this act of moving qi seems very simple, just a push and a pull. Because of that, I'll connect the qi, which is the vital energy of us Chinese people, with the qi of mainland Chinese individuals in a very close and harmonious way. You can actually get more qi flowing in and out when you gently put your hands up, allowing the energy to circulate more freely. It's just a simple pull up, we draw more, and we turn away qi in one simple move. Open. The qi is pulled repeatedly by opening and closing. I've compiled the essence of my qi management method. For those students who are most dedicated, whenever you have time, just keep practicing this movement repeatedly. With repetition, you'll become proficient at it over time. So if there's a teacher, or if you want to take the initiative to guide everyone, and you want to draw qi to the head or emit qi from the head, you can do so. Some friends practice drawing qi, drawing and filling, repeating this process again and again, and their illnesses improve. What is the principle behind this? It's called the Peng Jie Guanding method, which is simply a straightforward way of drawing qi. Within this method, you can skillfully mobilize your energy, because these techniques are the essence of past cultivation practices, secrets that were rarely passed down. So, fellow students, just wait for me. Don't underestimate these few movements. They are far from simple. Within these movements, the essence of life is distilled. We keep refining, trimming a little here and a little there, and the more we refine, the better it becomes. Let's continue together. It's all pure essence. In the past, you didn't practice a whole set of exercises. With such a large set, even if you practiced for an hour, perhaps you only touched upon the essence once or twice. Practicing a whole set for an hour, you might only get to the essence once or twice. But now we are bringing out all the best, the purest essence, and every movement is concentrated with it. So when you practice,